Hello, you guys. My name is Mallory. I'm so excited to be here today. Jamie asked me to make a training for Instagram about a month ago. Sorry it's taken me so long, but I put it together. I did my best. I'm so excited to talk about Instagram today because I am obsessed with it. If you know me, you know that for the past year and a half now, I've literally researched the shit out of it. And through trial and error, and I'm still learning every single day, I'm making mistakes and I'm improving. I'm just trying to do my best at reaching as many people as I can and sharing my story and having my own voice and creating my brand. And I will say Instagram is amazing. And if you decide to take it and use it to tell your story, it's an amazing platform. And especially for us coaches, it's something that is the base of our biz, right? So it's super important. And I really hope that you guys can find some things from this that you can apply to your own Instagram. I really try to share what I'm doing, also what other top coaches are doing, and then other accounts that I absolutely love. And I also put some things in here that you guys can actually take and do yourself, because I just don't want to share all this at you, but then not have giving you things to actually do. So with that being said, I really tried to make this something that you can apply to your Instagram and your work and your business. And I'm so excited that you're here. If you're watching it, that means that you're crushing it because you have the passion to do so, because you're learning and you're coachable. So I'm so excited you are here. With that being said, I'm going to share my screen, show you guys my fancy PowerPoint I made. Yes, super good. Okay, I'm still getting used to all this. Let's see. Okay, share the screen. I need to press play so you guys can see all of it. Perfect. There we go. Okay, so Instagram training, building your platform authentically. And you're going to hear me say that all the time. So being authentic before we get started is something that you want to grasp and you want to embrace, especially while making your Instagram. And I've learned this from basically any self-help book that I've read, right? So being authentic. There's nothing to be in this world than yourself. And as cliche as that sounds, it's so true. And the moment you decide to embrace yourself is when you're going to attract those that are just like you, and your business is going to blow up. So that's the number one thing, building your Instagram, but in an authentic way. So let's get right into it today. So the agenda that I'm going to talk about today is these are everything points: building your authentic brand, how to tell your story, writing captions, going into stories a bit, and then your aesthetic and visual, which is my favorite part. So hang around for that. So let's just dive right into it. These are my everything points. And what I mean by this is if you take one thing away from this whole training, I hope that you guys take these away, because they're seriously everything. And if you're ever struggling with your Instagram, I want you to go back to these points and see, okay, am I doing these? Can I do better on these? Am I actually paying attention to these? So I get asked all the time, how did you build your following? Or how do I get followers? Or how do I get likes? Stuff like that. And I tell my girls this all the time. Number one, I would rather have engaged followers than a lot of followers. So by that, I mean, I would rather have 2,000 girls who love what I do, who pay attention to my story, who engage with me, than 10,000 followers who don't give a shit about what I'm talking about. Because from our business, as you can tell, you want them to engage with you. So if you post a post about your challenge group, you want followers who are going to engage, who are going to be like, wow, that might be for me. And then they reach out to you, right? Versus these rando accounts that probably aren't going to like it or see it, kind of thing. So engaged followers. So don't worry too much about that number. Number two, time and consistency. I know you guys don't want to hear this because I feel like it's the answer to everything, especially with coaching, but it's so true. I have been doing this not for 4 months. I started coaching like 4 months ago, and I feel like I got kind of a quick start, if you want to word it that way, with coaching. But I like to tell my girls, like, I didn't start coaching 4 months ago. I kind of started like a year and a half ago when I started my Instagram. And by that, I mean, I've showed up every single day for the past year and a half building my brand with basically no return until I started coaching. Because I just loved it, and I knew that I wanted to spread awareness on health and fitness stuff. And so time and consistency, right? So it takes time to build a brand. If you have a personal Instagram and you're just starting to coach, I would recommend sticking with your personal one and then just starting to bring in some coaching aspects to it, because it does take a long time to build an audience. So yeah, show up every single day, be consistent. Think of Instagram as your job, right? So actually set aside time to work on it and to take photos. And yeah, so number 3, this is like some tough love, but I gotta say it because it's so true. Everything you want to learn is on the internet. Google it, Pinterest it, research it, read about it. I think trainings like this that I'm doing, they can be helpful, but at the end of the day, everything that you want to know is online. You just have to work for it. And I say that because a lot of girls ask me these things over and over again. And in my head, I'm like, okay, what did I do when I wanted to find that out? Well, I Googled it and I researched it, and I learned about hashtags. And I learned about when to post best. I learned about really tricky stuff that Facebook doesn't let you know about, kind of stuff, right? Learn about it, look online. You can watch as many trainings as you want, but you can also read about stuff like this. So find it, look for it before you ask your coach, before you ask others, because I promise the answer is out there. So be a student of Instagram, learn about it. If this is your biggest business tool, then why aren't you learning about it, kind of thing, right? Okay, number 4, authenticity. Again, already brought this up. Yeah, just being real, right? Just being you. Your Instagram should look like you and only you. And I'll dive into that later deeper. So I'm going to get into our first little agenda, and it's about building your authentic brand, as I was talking about. So again, it took me about over a year to find my brand. I took a lot of inspiration from Katie Austin, from a friend of mine. She has an Instagram called Blonde Gone Clean. She's amazing. She built a brand, now has over 20,000 followers, and I look up to her so much because she tells her story every single day. So you should look her up. She's not a coach, but she's like a foodie, a health nut. She's a personal trainer now, and she struggles with chronic illnesses. So she basically shares her story through that. So it's amazing. It took me a long time to realize that short captions aren't the way to go always, right? So when I first started, again, I was just trying to find my voice. I was nervous. I would write short captions like "Happy Monday, getting my workout in," like that's it kind of thing, which is fine once in a while, right? But now I really try to find my voice and tell my story. So you can see from those photos, the top left, little young Mal, that's when I first started my Instagram, right? And then if you look at the bottom right, that's within like a year and a half. That's just kind of a transformation of, first, iPhone cameras getting better. And then second, me kind of being like, okay, I want this bright, fun vibe. The upper right, I posted that food photo because I was kind of trying to be a foodie, which is really hard. And then second, it takes a lot of time. So I just kind of shied away from that, but it really did help me build my brand. Bottom left is I was starting to post photos of real life. So like when I first started my Instagram, I didn't post anything about my fiance, Luke. I didn't post about my real life. I literally was trying to portray this perfect fit girl that just loved to work out every single day and didn't have a care in the world. And then on the bottom right, like I said, that's me now today. And I talk about struggles, and I talk about having tough times like normal girls do, right? And so I'm trying to be real, and I feel like I finally found that voice, but it took me a really long time, right? Okay, so moving on to the next one. That kind of moves into, okay, so how do we find that brand, right? So I just told you that I was able to create it. Well, then how do you create it now? And I love the idea of 5 obsessions and creating your magazine. And I love it. So Keisha had a call with our team, and I will talk about that call all the time because she talked about finding those 5 obsessions. And I want to talk about it because this is something that every single one of you should do with your Instagram, especially as a Beachbody coach. So if you had a magazine, what would be in it? So really think about that. What do you love to do? And if you had a magazine called the Michaela Bowdish magazine, what would be in it? If I'm talking about me, my 5 obsessions are going to be working out. They're going to be coaching. Another one would be my fiance, Luke. Another one, my sweet little puppy, Cayenne. And then moving to Nashville. So those are kind of my 5 obsessions right now, things that I could talk about all day long and things that make me uniquely me. And that's how you kind of find your brand, right? So this kind of goes with too, are you a military wife? Are you a mom? Are you a post-grad? Are you a nurse? What are you, right? And I don't want you to feel like you are defined by your job or if you're a mom, but I want that to be part of your story because then you can relate to those of you that are also a mom or are also a nurse, right? So that's how you draw in your market. And I love this because if you are more focused on making your profile like somebody else's, then you are missing out on helping somebody out there that is just like you. You want to attract girls that are like you because they need the same help that you got when you first started this journey. This also allows you to build trust, right? And your audience will literally feel like they're best friends with you because they've been following along your whole entire journey if you are sharing your story. So I say this because I feel like I've met girls before, especially when I still went to Wazoo, my college, who had been following me for a while, and then they met me. I actually happened at a bar one night, and funny, right? And they were like, "Oh my gosh, are you Mallori Sherry?" And I was like, "Yes, like nice to meet you." And they like told me that they felt like they knew me, they felt like they were best friends with me, and all of this stuff. And that's just a reflection of like, wow, like I really put myself out there to where someone who's following me and watching my stories every day, they really do feel like they're best friends with me. And that transition into coaching, because if they feel like they know you and they trust you, then they will be more likely to trust you about a program, right? So I love this thing I heard before. I think I read it somewhere, but it said before somebody buys from you, they need to trust you. And that's so simple, but it's so true. And we do that by sharing everything about us, by putting those 5 obsessions out there. And that's really just all about building your brand again, right? So it's just about being yourself. So for an example, if I'm trying to be like Jamie and I'm trying to be a soul cycling instructor and I'm trying to share, I don't know, but that wouldn't be my true self, right? So then when girls talk to me, they're probably like, who are you kind of thing. So yeah, so that kind of goes on to, oh yeah, I wanted to show you guys other girls that I think do an amazing job at building their brand. So this is Carly. She's a coach as well. She's on a different team, but I really love her brand. She's outdoorsy. She lives on a lake. She has a cute little pom-pom puppy. And yeah, this is her vibe. She was a yoga instructor as well. I think she still is a tag. But so she attracts those yogis. She attracts the outdoor vibe. And she does an amazing job at doing that. Another girl I want to show you is Chelsea Pearson. She talked to us on a team call before, but her vibe, so she's a coach as well, but you can see how it's very clean. She does a lot of interior design stuff. And so she appeals more towards that kind of vibe, of course. And she has little pom-poms too, which is funny. Okay, last one I'm going to show you guys is Keisha Fitzgerald. She talked to us as well. She's kind of the girl that's not your fitness girl, right? She's just like real talk. She's having fun. She relates to the girls that probably hate working out or going to the gym, but she makes it fun and she's real life. And she does a really good job at grasping that. So yeah, those are just a few examples. I encourage you to look at other top coaches too, to get inspiration from them, because I feel like they all have built their brand and their vibe, and they're all completely different, as you just saw. Okay, so that kind of goes into building trust as well too. So I like to say 5 obsessions as well, because if you talk about 5 things of your life, you're then expanding your market to other areas of interest. So by that, I mean, if I'm someone who just posts workouts and stuff, I will get a following from that. But if I start posting about my lab Cayenne, then I'm gonna get dog lovers on my Instagram, right? If I post about Luke, I feel like that allows them to know my real life more. If I post about Nashville, I start to get followers and just girls that are interested in that. So that just expands it, right? Another thing is it allows you to open up about your struggles in real life. So honestly, you guys, perfection is out of style. And I learned that really, really quickly on my Instagram. I was portraying this perfect girl again, yet that is so out of style. Girls want to read captions that make them feel like you're talking straight to them, right? And so I try to talk about things that I have a hard time with, but I also rejoice in the days that are amazing. Like, share all of it with them, right? And again, this goes with building trust, right? You have to be an advocate of this program by sharing your struggle and then sharing how this 80-day program has helped you get through it, right? So your followers are not scrolling through to try to buy something. They are trying to find a solution to what they're struggling with. So I'm going to word it this way. I'm going to show you guys how to do it. So you're going to think about something that you struggle with, and then what have you done to help it, and then how it's helped. So again, your followers are not trying to buy something, they're trying to find a solution to something that they're struggling with. So one, talk about your struggle. If I talk about over exercise in the past, then I am going to pull in girls who also feel that same exact way. Say, okay, so I caught them right there. Number two, what am I doing to overcome it? Well, I started the 80-day and it's helped me so much because I'm not working out 3 hours a day anymore. Girls are going to see that and be like, oh, wow, like that's helped her. Maybe that has helped me. And then I talk about how it's helped me. It's helped me because it's allowed me to be strong. It's allowed me to eat properly. It's allowed me to work out only 1 hour a day and feel the best I've ever felt. And then those girls are going to be like, wow, I feel like she's talking to me. I feel like I'm working out a ton, but I'm not seeing results. If this works for her, it might work for me. And that's how you share. And that's how you share the what and the why and how it's worked for you, versus saying, I have 5 spots for my 21-day program. It's on sale this month and it's going to be so much fun. Join. No, like that might get a few girls, but you have to share why it's helped you and what you've gone through, because that's what's going to pull in girls that are just like you. Okay, so that goes into how to tell your story. So we've talked about your brand, we've talked about how to share your what and your why, and now this is telling your story. And this is going to go more into how to write your captions and stuff, but I think telling your story is really important. So once you find those 5 obsessions, that's the first step. Then we're going to go into, okay, so then what do I write about them, right? I have my 5 obsessions, but then how do I write a caption that has to do with them? So this is what it's going to be about, telling your story. So your story is like an onion, which is funny, but it's so true. And that's the only example I could come up with. But you want to peel it back slowly, right? You don't want to vomit everything on your followers like the first week. And I think this is super important just because you want your Instagram to look professional. You want it to be short and precise, and you want to get at your story right away. So think about your 5 obsessions. You are going to post about each one of those every single week. So let's say Monday I post about coaching, Tuesday I post about Luke, Wednesday I post about Cayenne, and Thursday I post about working out. That's kind of my thing, right? And then next week I do that same exact thing, because you start to build followers and you want to show different parts of each obsession. So by that, I mean, think of it as a chapter of each obsession. So each post that I make about Cayenne is a chapter of Cayenne. And I'm actually going to use Nashville for that example. But yeah, you're not going to vomit your whole entire story in one post on someone. You're going to open it up chapter by chapter, chapter per post. So I'm going to give you guys an example. So one of my obsessions this year has been moving to Nashville. A little about me, if you don't know, my fiance has a job where we didn't really know where we were going to live until the end of April, and then we had to move like 2 weeks after that. So with that being said, as a post grad, I was super stressed about moving because I was like, how am I going to find a job? I started to resent him. I didn't know how to make money at that point. And then coaching came along, right? But that really helped with this. So that's kind of my areas of Nashville, right? So I'm stressed. I just graduated. I'm trying to find a job. I'm resenting Luke. I don't have my own thing. Those are like my biggest things about Nashville. But I don't want to talk about all of that in one post, right? If I did, it'd be really freaking long and no one would care and it'd feel like it was like my diary. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to split it up into separate posts and I'm going to talk about each of those things. So with that being said, keep it short, right? 2 to 3 paragraphs, get right to the chase. So I posted this example because it was about Nashville, but I basically just talked about how the first week was really hard. Like, I think I'm on my 4th week here right now. So reverse 3 weeks ago, I was having a really hard time. My fiance had left for camp, so I was home alone. It was like my first week here. I had no friends. I was home alone all the time, which is really lonely. I was away from all my friends and my family. I was having a really hard time. And so I talked about it, right? And that's one chapter of my move to Nash. I don't talk about my job hunt. I don't talk about graduating. I just talk about how it was really stressful. So that's a chapter. But then the next week, I talked about how coaching has allowed me to move to Nashville and not be stressed. So that's another chapter of my obsession of moving to Nashville. So I hope that makes sense. I try to break that down for you guys. But telling your story, you want to just be short about it. And then you want to have it so you slowly peel it back every single week, because then that allows to everyone to want to follow along, right? So they're actually curious about, okay, well, how's her move going? Is she making friends yet? Is the job still going well, kind of thing? They are trying to follow along with my life because I'm allowing them to. I think that's so important. With that being said, this post I would categorize as a little serious. So I try to keep the serious ones like maybe 2 a week. Sometimes I do 3 if I'm feeling really emotional that week. But I try to keep it like 1 to 2 a week just because I don't want to vomit on my followers too much about my personal life. So I try to keep it fun and upbeat, but then I'm also really real. So again, just find your vibe. Okay, and that kind of goes on to because I allowed them to follow along with my story. When I finished my 80 day, I posted about it. And I seriously, you guys, I hardly wrote, and I don't think I wrote anything like emotional really. I said that it's kind of been my thing since the NFL draft. And it's kind of been my rock every single day. My life has been hectic, but I've been able to come to this and work out, and it's been my thing, and it's a de-stress for me through this hectic time of my life. And that's like all I said. And comments just flushed. And they said, I'm tearing up, or this is amazing, Mal, or like, this is so inspiring, because I've taken them along the journey every single day. They know that I've moved to Nashville. They know that the draft was stressful for me. They know that I've posted stories of day 1, day 2, day 3, and so on throughout this whole entire freaking thing. I've taken them along with me to the point where I made some of my followers tear up. That's insane. That's insane. And that's what you want to get at, right? That's exactly what you want to do as a coach. You want to share to the point where you make your followers feel something. And so that was really freaking cool. Okay, moving on. Got a little heated there. Okay, writing captions. Another part of telling our story, of course. But I get asked a lot of, okay, how do I write a caption? And I gotta say, writer's block is a thing, you guys. So with that being said, I heard this like honestly like a long time ago. I think I was in junior high or something, but I was listening to a Taylor Swift interview and she was talking about how she songwrites. And she said she pulls out her notes in her phone or she voice records. So the second that an idea pops in her mind, she either sings it and records it, or she writes it down. And I think that's incredible. And that's the exact same thing that I do with my caption. So if you can see my note section right there, and you're probably like, what the heck, Mel? That looks crazy. Well, that's really just my thoughts. And I just write them down every single day. And you can see it's as close as 258, 259, 301. Because sometimes I will just have a flush of like inspiration and I'll write it down. Because then when I have a post, I will go back to these and I'll be like, okay, what do I feel like posting about today? And then I'll have a caption that's real, that's raw, and I'll be able to post it. And that's helped me so much be real, because I find if I just sit down to post and I try to write something, I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea what to write. And I know we've all been through it. We ask our friends, we ask our mom, we're like, Mom, what should I write? It has to be good. It has to be good. Well, you can't think of anything. And so I think this is a really good way of just writing it down once something comes to you. And again, that's a part of telling your story, because then you're actually sharing something that's real and that's raw with your audience. And I like to say this too, but I get inspiration from other accounts, kind of, but not really with my captions, to be honest. I get inspiration more of how they lay out their photos and the vibe of their page. But I will say, for me, I really don't get inspiration from captions, because if I read something and then try to write something similar, it ends up being copying. So that's huge. Inspiration and copying is a huge difference. And especially as our team, we should not be copying captions, because we want to be real and we want to be raw. And that's how you attract girls just like you. And so if you're telling your story that is yours, then you will have like a vibe every single caption that is your voice, compared to if you are constantly copying captions, then you don't really have your own voice, and your followers can tell as well. And so I think that's super important to address and understand as well. So I really want you guys to dig deep and just be like, okay, if I were to sit down at night and write in my diary, what kind of things would I write, right? And so it should be just like that. Your Instagram's your diary. Okay, so details of a caption. This is like really nitty gritty stuff, but this is something that you can take away, I hope, and use, because I get asked about it a lot. So for posts in general, I like to say usually 1 to 2 posts a day. Any more than that, I feel like, again, you're vomiting on your audience. And I'm sorry for saying vomit a lot, but I feel like that's a good word to describe it, right? You don't want to vomit on your followers. You want to keep it 1 post a day, maybe 2. But with that being said, try to show up every single day and post. You want to be somebody that they expect to see on your feed. Okay, back to what I'm trying to say. So details of a caption. So if you notice on my captions, and a lot of others too, it's like spaced perfectly. Yet if you were to go into Instagram and type it there, it doesn't allow you to do that. So what I do is I go to my notes section. So back to here, I go to my notes section, and then you go in and you type your caption. So to space it perfectly, what you have to do, does everyone see that raindrop emoji? Okay, make sure there's no space after that, no spaces. You click return, you type in a period, or you type in any kind of symbol, and that can be kind of a fun way to have your brand too. I know some girls have dots, some girls have stars, stuff like that. But then after that period symbol, no spaces, and then you click return again, and then you start typing. So then back down right after I say, I'm going to say they work, period, no spaces again. I click return, I do that period, and again, no spaces after that. The thing that happens is if you have a space after it, it's super frustrating, but Instagram then combines it, and then it's all squished together, and you don't have that really nice space between. So it's super nitty gritty, but I hope that's helpful. Okay, call to action captions. Call to action captions. That's kind of hard to say. Okay, so these are something that we should be using as a coach 1 to 2 times a week. And these are super important because this is when you are actually giving your audience something to do. So you're literally being like, hey, here's an action, do it. And I think that's super important because this is kind of how you direct them to where you want them to go. And with that being said, this is just one way to use a call to action. Okay, so for an example, this is Emily Fowler. She's a top coach, love her account. And this is a call to action post. So she talks about how she's done this program and she has a transformation photo and all this stuff. And she gives them a call to action. And what that is, she says, drop your favorite emoji below or fill out the form in my bio. So that's a call to action, right? So she's literally telling them to do something. And I usually say link in my bio. I've actually never used the emoji one, but I say message me. I usually just say link in my bio, but there's definitely different ways to say that. And again, going back to what I've described before is your what and your why, right? So she's not just saying, hey guys, I have 21 spots open. Go to the link in my bio. She says, this has changed my whole life. I've worked hard and it can work for you too. So go to the link in my bio. Like, that's amazing, right? Like, that's strong, and that is part of her story. And if you follow her, you know that she's told her story so well that when she showed that she was pregnant and that the baby was healthy, I think it was just last week, I cried. I think Jamie cried. Like, our whole team freaking cried because we've been following along her journey this whole entire time. So she's amazing. If you don't follow her, follow her. Okay, a little about stories. This is almost our last section I'm going to go through, but stories are my freaking favorite. And honestly, you guys, stories are the place to be. I need to make sure I don't talk too loud because I feel like it probably sounded really like grainy to you. But yes, stories are the place to be. So Instagram posts are amazing, but with Facebook now, sometimes they make it really hard for your post to be seen, for the hashtags to work, all that bullshit that literally makes it so hard for us to just freaking get our posts seen by followers. So with that being said, stories are the place to be for me. If I want to direct my followers to sign up for something or go to the link in my bio, I post it on my story because I know everybody sees it there versus doing it on my post. And I feel like when you write a post, sometimes your followers don't even read it. So stories are a really great way to get that info across too. So with that being said, your stories should match your post. So if you look on my Instagram, I post about coaching on my stories, and I also post about it on my actual post. So if you are like killing your stories, but I look at your profile and I can hardly tell that you're a coach, then you gotta give it a little facelift and make sure that they match each other, because you want both of them to be like, hey, I have a challenge, I'm a coach, this is what I do, this is why it works. Both of them gotta be like that, because some watch stories, some don't, some look at posts, some don't. So you gotta approach it in that way. But yeah, if you guys don't follow Jatana Jackson, she is where I get my biggest inspo from for stories. I've learned a lot. My style is definitely different than hers, and a lot of yours is too. She owns it though, right? She owns it. But yeah, I think she was kind of the first to really go after it in terms of the coaching world, and she's done a phenomenal job. And so some of the stuff I'm going to talk about is straight from her. Okay, so 2 tools that I really like to use are Word Swag, my favorite. So if you have seen some of my posts, I know Michaela Bowdis does as well, and a few other of my girls. Word Swag is amazing for making Instagram stories that look really professional. So if you're trying to type something out, then it's a really good way to make it look flashy and new, because it's text that you can't use on Instagram itself. So to the eye, it's new, right? So that automatically catches your followers' attention because it's something new that they're not used to seeing on Instagram. With that being said, there's a lot of fun text on it. Make it professional, like make it match your brand. You don't want to get too crazy with it because then it just looks silly, and you want to make sure it's font that can be read as well. Yeah, just keep it not childish. Keep it professional as much as you can. Another good app is Hype Type. Oh yeah, and with a Word Swag, I think it's like $2.99, but best investment I've ever made. Hype Type. This one I actually don't use that much, but I know it's a really good resource. I wanted to share it with you guys. Jatana Jackson uses this every single day. But you can upload a video on this, and you can add text that like flashes and like moves around. And they also have a ton of like music and stuff that you can add onto it. So again, it's something new to the eye. It's something that your followers aren't used to seeing. So it catches their eye, right? So it's something to look into. I think for Hype Time, oh my God, this pissed me off. I got like a free trial for a week and then it charged me $20 for the year. So, and I don't use it. And that actually just happened the other day. But $20 a year, if you're using it every single day, girl, get it. It's worth the investment, not too bad. Again, I want you guys to think of this as your business base. So if an app costs money, that's okay because it's helping you build your brand. It's a business cost. So yeah, I'm gonna have that as a tax write-off for sure. Okay, again, with the stories, think of it as creating FOMO, fear of missing out on freaking everything. And I try to do this with my challenge groups. I do it with my coaches. I literally do it with everything because I'm like, girl, if you're not in this group, you are missing out. So this is just an example. One of my coaches, she texted me the other day and she's like, oh my God, I got my first check, $150. Can you imagine what that can do for somebody? Like, I know a lot of girls are like, it just an extra $200 a month would be amazing. This is in one freaking week. So I posted about it because that's amazing. And that's just a way for me to say, hey, this coaching thing is really cool and you can do it too. And so I created FOMO around that, right? So then I had girls be like, I need in on this kind of thing. And that's a really good way to talk about money without sounding like you're all about it kind of thing. So again, this goes with the challenge groups too. I don't have an example on here, but I will screenshot my challenge group if I see that a girl posted, never felt better, this arm workout really got me feeling good today kind of thing. And I will always cross out their names and their photos just to respect that privacy. But I'll post about it and I'll be like, dude, our challenge group is really, really awesome. You want in on this kind of stuff. So create FOMO around everything with your stories. Workouts. If you didn't post it, did it really happen? And that's so true, honestly. Jamie said this on her story the other day, but she was like, now that I've shared my whole life with everybody, I actually have them talk to me and be like, why haven't you worked out today? And that's so true, you guys. But I think this is also really important because it allows you to show them, hey, these exercises are simple. You can do it too. And they're super fun, right? It's not like this crazy ass workout where you're jumping over barriers and stuff like that. It's something that everyone can do. And then you can also put your own personality into it by adding music or hashtags, stuff like that. So yeah, really important in all your stories as well, especially I try to do them in my workout ones, is use hashtags because then you can be found by those who don't follow you because they search that hashtag. So that's a good way to attract new viewers. Location is really cool because again, it's the same exact thing. If I'm in Nashville, then anyone that looks at that location, my post will come up with it because I tag Nashville in it. Another story, little tip, I'm kind of like adding little tips into this page, but try to post a story every 2 hours in your day and then try to post at least 8 stories a day. And because of that, I mean, if you just post once or twice a day, then your Instagram account isn't going to pop up that much on somebody's feed. But if you post 8 times and it's within 1 hour, that's great. But again, your Instagram isn't going to pop up a lot. So try to space it out throughout the day because then you're constantly popping up for everybody to see, especially since your followers log on at different times of the day. So you're trying to basically be up there every time of the day that somebody's up there. This is another really great way for showing your workouts and stuff to slide in those invites, right? And I have a couple examples next. But here's just an example. So I posted an amazing transformation photo of one of my girlies from the 21-day challenge. And I said, go to the link in my bio. So that's a call to action right there on my story. But then I also said, I'll send you more info, tap on this. And so they all tap on that. And then I'm going to go send them. I'm going to be like, hey girl, I'm going to reach out to every single person that voted. And again, I don't have no as an answer. I say more info or yes, add me, because then I reach out to everybody that voted and I offer them to join us, right? A second way to invite through your Instagram is reach out to those who watch your stories. And this is like my favorite way to invite as of the last week even. I actually didn't start doing it till this last week. But I reach out to those who watch my stories. And why I do that is because, one, I know they've been watching me. And so they have built that trust with me. So they know what I've been doing and what I've been showing up every day doing. Two, because they're not like randos, right? Again, so they kind of know what I've been doing, so that when I do reach out to them, it's not this rando person that they don't know. And what I say is, I say, hey, are you just showing some love for my stories, or would you like to learn more about what I'm doing? And that's a really great way to reach out to them. And when I did, I reached out to about 35 girls, and I got the most responses I've ever gotten from a cold outreach. And a lot of them said, "Oh my gosh, I just love your profile. I'm just showing some love." And I was like, "Thank you so much." Like, that's, a great relationship right there. And I invited, but I didn't sound scammy, right? So it was like a great interaction. And again, a little Instagram trick is, if you even interact with them like that, then you automatically will show up on their feed more. So to me, that's a win-win. And then other girls replied back saying, "Yes, I would love info. I've actually been meaning to reach out," kind of thing. So it's like a really good way to reach out to them in a very nice way. And that's the same thing with the polls, is honestly, you guys, saying go to the link in my bio or message me. Sometimes that's too much work. And I talk about this on the next one too. Sometimes they literally don't want to message you because it's scary, and they don't want to fill out a link in the bio because that takes way too freaking long. And remember, our Instagram, everyone's like scrolling through it as fast as they can, right? And so when Madeline, she did an awesome job here. She said, "Send me an emoji or tap on this." And honestly, you guys, that poll is amazing because it takes them a split second to tap that. It's like no work at all. And I think she said in this too, she was like, "I will reach out to you," basically being like, I will do all the work. All you freaking gotta do is tap this thing. And I love that. So she killed it there. So honestly, like, call to actions and invites can be used in so many ways. You just got to go for it on your Instagram. Little last section, and it's my absolute favorite. If you're still watching, I'm so excited that you're here. Okay, so this last little one is your aesthetic and your visual. So this kind of goes back to what I was just talking about, is everyone's like rushing through their Instagram so fast, right? So you have, I forget the exact number, but it's a split second to catch somebody's eye. So when they hop on your Instagram profile, it better look good for them to stay on it. Like, there's got to be one post that appeals to them for them to stay on it. If your profile doesn't, they're probably not going to follow you, and they're probably not going to really look at anything else because it doesn't look good, right? Honestly, we always say don't judge a book by a cover, but Instagram, judge a book by the cover. So you got to make sure that cover is good. So yeah, this is one of my favorite accounts to follow. Her name's The Balanced Blonde. I'm obsessed with her. She's not a coach, but she's amazing at building her brand, and she's kind of transitioned from health and fitness to more wellness overall, to more spirituality. And then she recently was diagnosed with Lyme disease like last month. So now she approaches that as well and kind of helps girls that are going through the same thing. So she's amazing. In her profile right there, automatic vibe, right? Like, my eyes are like, whoa, love it. It's like beachy, it's good vibes, it's white, it's bright. Like, it makes me feel good, right? So that catches my eye, and I love her aesthetic. It's amazing. And I want to go over, okay, well then, do I post aesthetic photos or do I post unfiltered photos? And by aesthetic, I mean ones that are like professional. So if I go back, if you see the one of her doing the handstand upside down, I would say that's more aesthetic. So that looks like a well set photo that was like well prepared. And then if you look at the one with her and her boyfriend on the bottom left on the boxes, that's more of an unfiltered one, because it's just kind of like, I bet they did like a selfie timer for that. But yeah, so I say a combination of both. It doesn't have to be like a professional photo every single post. And I say that because aesthetic to attract attention, right? So they're good, amazing photos. So if you don't have good ones, go out and have a photo shoot. put makeup on, put your favorite bright clothes on, whatever your vibe is, and go for it and get some damn good photos. I personally use portrait for all of my like good photos. I love portrait, but you can also use like a professional camera. Whatever you do, you gotta get some good ones. And then combine that with unfiltered ones. And by unfiltered, I mean casual, right? So they're real life, they are relatable, and they're simple. So if you look at my post right there, the top middle is an aesthetic one. That was like a portrait one that my fiance took. And I have makeup on, you know, my hair is brushed, not what I look like every day. And then right below it is one with a smoothie. I have no makeup on in that. I literally was like, I need something to post today. So I took it, and that's my casual, unfiltered post. So I have kind of like a mix of everything in my Instagram, and I think that appeals to the eye. And then it's also like, I'm real too. I don't look perfect. I am just trying to get by, right? But again, find your vibe, find what works for you. And all of these are my 5 obsessions too. And so I kind of like integrate that into my Instagram the best I can. Okay, so if you look back at my page as well, you kind of see how all of my photos kind of look the same, right? They kind of have the same vibe. That took me a long time to find what I like too, and so I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So Visco, it's my favorite app ever. If you don't have it, I highly recommend it. This should be in my everything points. Like if you don't have this app, get it, because it's changed my life. And I love it because this is your chance to build your brand as well. So you're going to Google Visco filters, and then you can add whatever you want. You can do vintage, you can do artsy, you can do bright, you can do beach vibes, whatever you like, search it. And then it'll bring up all of these. And I want you guys to look at them, and I don't want you to worry about the photos in them. I just want you to look at the ones that catch your eye, and you don't have to know why they catch your eye. Just save them and look at them. So for me, let's just say I like the upper left one. Then it shows me every single preset and what it's set to so that I can recreate that with my own photos. So I'm going to take that upper left photo. I'm going to go to my Visco app, right? I'm going to upload my own photo, and I'm going to set every single setting to what it told me to. So clarity is at 2.1, saturation 0.5, stuff like that. And then on that very bottom left, where there's that little circle next to that plus sign, you click the plus sign and it saves it as a recipe, so that whenever you upload a new photo, you go to that recipe, you click it, and then your photo will automatically have that same exact filter. So yes, it takes about 3 seconds for me to edit my photos. So if I go back, all of these, I literally upload them, I click recipe, and bam, I'm done. And they all look the same. They have that same vibe. And that's so fast. It's so fun. I will say, when finding a filter, you want to do one that's maybe a little more settled. I'm like, again, find your vibe, but you don't want it to be like filter the shit out of your whole page, right? Like have your vibe, have it be fun, whatever you want. But I think this is an amazing tool to have that aesthetic brand on your Instagram. And I think that's about it. I want to end this in being authentic again, right? Be yourself, because everybody else is already taken, you guys. Your Instagram is your chance to share what you have to offer with this world. I'm going to be cheesy, but it's so real, right? So I didn't really feel like I was making an impact until I actually embraced my real self and I shared that with the world. And it can be scary. It can be hard, but it's worth it, because you are going to get so much more engagement from your photos and your followers, and you're going to get so much more response because they relate to you, they understand you, and they trust you. And then you are going to be able to coach people because they took that step, because they trusted you, because you were authentic. So with that being said, I hope this helped you guys. And I'm so excited to continue to work with all of you guys.